is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds.
Well, with the best, I got to give it to him. But the best, like, he's hands down. He's the best. He's the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him respect no matter what. You got to give him respect. He just went up 2 weight classes, what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people said he can't do.
I've been a world champion, as you know, and I've been a 3-division world champion. I've only won one of the belts. I don't know what it is to be undisputed. I don't know that fear. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable.
Stephen A. Smith challenged Floyd Mayweather's attempt to diminish Terence Crawford's achievement after Crawford's win over Canelo. Smith argued that Crawford did something unprecedented, becoming undisputed champion in multiple weight classes, and that he earned every ounce of his legacy. He insisted that Crawford deserves universal praise, not criticism, and that his victory over Canelo wasn't just another win, but a defining moment elevating him into the ranks of the all-time greats. Mayweather's negativity, Smith said, cannot cast a shadow over Crawford's remarkable accomplishment.
Is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance.
Stephen A. Smith was left in awe by Crawford's victory, openly expressing his deep admiration. He emphasized the significance of being there to witness such a historic moment firsthand, which made it even more personal for him. In Smith's view, no fighter in boxing history has accomplished what Crawford just did, moving up in weight, to decisively defeat a dominant champion like Canelo. He described it as a career-defining triumph that cements Crawford's place above his peers and guarantees this night a permanent place in boxing's storied legacy. For Smith, the bout was more than just a fight. It marked a monumental shift in how greatness itself is measured in the sport.
But either way, he was in discussion certainly with Chavez. What did this do to his legacy? Because I don't think he thought, the Floyd fight didn't give him, people didn't really look down on him because he was, even though he had 40 fights, he was still, fighting one of the greatest ever and an absolute master. And Bivol, he went up weight classes to win. But now he's fighting a smaller guy, a great fighter, but a smaller guy. Does this damage his legacy in any way?
I think it does. Because, one thing is this is that, you were ruling, you were the king of that weight class. And the king of that weight class for a good while. And I think that, he had a huge following because, he became the face of boxing.
And even though it's another, future Hall of Famer, still losing a guy come up a couple weight classes, it kind of makes you seem not as great as you might have been.
Crawford's trainer made it clear after the fight that his fighter has nothing left to prove. In his eyes, Terence has reached a level where his respect should be beyond question, yet some critics continue to withhold it. This frustration highlights that even after dismantling one of boxing's biggest stars, Crawford still faces battles with narratives outside the ring. The trainer stressed that Terence isn't even thinking about another opponent right now because his performance against Canelo is more than enough to secure his place in history. For Crawford, this moment wasn't about chasing names. It was about building a legacy that can no longer be denied.
Was Terence Bud Crawford moving up 2 weight divisions, really 3 in my mind, because he only fought 1 fight at the junior middleweight division. So he's really moving up from 147 pounds, okay? Terence Bud Crawford moving up to the 168-pound limit in an effort to claim the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world from the grasp of Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now I was there. I was there. Because let me tell you something right now. There's very, very few sporting events in the world that are better than a super fight in Vegas. I can tell you that right now. There's very, very few events. Props to Nick Khan of the WWE.
Timothy Bradley delivered one of the boldest takes by directly comparing Crawford to Floyd Mayweather. He asserted that Crawford's name now deserves a place at the very top of the greatest of all time debate. For Bradley, this wasn't just about Crawford defeating Canelo, it was about redefining what it truly means to be pound for pound number one. He acknowledged Floyd's mastery of the sport in his era, but argued that Crawford just demonstrated an even greater level by conquering Canelo at his peak. In Bradley's view, this victory elevated Crawford into a rarefied space reserved only for the sport's absolute legends.
Terence Crawford and his well-renowned trainer, two-time Fan of the Year and future Hall of Fame trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, recently did an interview in which Bomac stated that a fight is not happening. And this particular fight is a fight that everybody wanted to see Canelo Alvarez take, and Canelo Alvarez refused to take this fight with a 28-year-old two-division world champion, reigning WBC light heavyweight, former two-time WBC super middleweight, the Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, who's one of my favorite fighters and a great person, David, the Mexican Ecuadorian monster Benavidez, who has 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout, stands at 6'2" with 75-inch arm reach, and fights at 175. But the entire time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, Canelo Alvarez was brought up, and he never accepted the fight. And so, with that said, now people are trying to project this fight on Terence Crawford. And they're saying that Terence Crawford needs to take the fight. So Bomac yesterday did an interview, and Bomac said they're not fighting David Benavidez. And so now people are pushing this notion that Terence Crawford is ducking and Terence Crawford is scared of David Benavidez. And if he don't fight David Benavidez, according to Boxing News 24,
Roy Jones Jr. offered a thoughtful perspective, noting that Crawford's win carried a different weight than Mayweather's victory over Canelo years ago. He explained that Floyd faced a young, less experienced Canelo and was able to outclass him with superior skill and ring IQ. Crawford, on the other hand, went up against a fully developed, battle-tested version of Canelo, the same fighter who had ruled his division for years. Despite being the naturally smaller man, Crawford dismantled him with precision. For Roy, that distinction makes Crawford's accomplishment extraordinary, as he overcame a Canelo who was far stronger, wiser, and more complete than the one Mayweather once defeated.
It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep, y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? You see, I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here, you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real, and you gonna get the truth. Dang it, that's what you gonna get. Leave them other lanes alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume down.
Duke McKenzie was left stunned by Crawford's performance in the ring. He noted that Canelo had no solutions for Crawford's relentless pressure, blistering speed, and pinpoint accuracy. Calling the display both unbelievable and incredible, McKenzie described it as one of the most complete performances ever seen in modern boxing. He emphasized that Crawford not only secured undisputed status, but also proved himself virtually unbeatable, even against the toughest opposition. Speaking with a mix of awe and admiration, McKenzie made it clear that Crawford has now set a bar so high that few, if any, fighters will ever be able to match it.
Generational great in Canelo Alvarez, really 3 weights above his natural weight class. Does that put him in the conversation with the likes of yourself as the greatest fighter of all time?
Yes, it does. And the reason it does is because he couldn't get the credibility down in his own weight class, so he went up to go challenge the 7 pounder.
and he found a very formidable, good opponent.
Do you think Canelo Alvarez is on the decline or not?
No, I don't think he's going to decline at all.
So you think both fighters are still at their peak, even though they're 36, 37?
Yeah, I think they're both still at their peak. The age for Crawford would seem like he may be beyond it, but he hasn't had the fights. The tough fights would have put him there, and the years of boxing for Canelo would have put him in a position where they're about equal. So I think they both are pretty much in a great place. I think they're both still in their primes, and this is the best time to see them fight.
Trainer Robert Garcia offered one of the strongest validations of Crawford's greatness, contending that in this context, he surpassed what Floyd Mayweather ever achieved. Garcia highlighted how Crawford dominated Canelo, winning 9 or 10 rounds with ease, while showing a relentless drive that Floyd never displayed at such a high-risk level. He emphasized that Mayweather never dared to move up and decisively conquer a naturally bigger champion the way Crawford just did, making this victory both unique and historic. For Garcia, the significance went beyond titles and statistics. It was about taking bold risks and triumphing, the very trait that separates true legends from mere icons.
No, that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable. He's a 3-time undisputed world champion, and he's beaten the best of the best. Now, for me, there were red flags way before this fight, not way before the fight, in the build-up to this fight. Canelo's body language in the run-up to this fight, he turned up in Vegas in his stretch limo, in his Armani suit. He's had his kids and his wife in the back of the car, and he's got out and strongly ran like he owns the gas. Now, that all that signified to me was very comfortable man. He was too comfortable, and Terence Crawford just kept it real from the outset. Tracksuit, no nonsense, went there to win, said what he was going to do, told the world what he was going to do long before the fight. I think he asked for this fight many years ago. The discussion he had with Bill Haney, and I think it was him that actually suggested call out Canelo, which he laughed at the beginning, but then it came to fruition, and now it's come to fruition. I mean, what you saw in that fight yesterday, what I watched in that fight yesterday, it was for the purists. It really was, because you really have to try and understand boxing and know what you're looking at. It was the feints. It was the way that he handled the bigger man. The little feints, the little side steps, the little flicking with the jabs, hitting him with the head and the body, the little combination, the little 2s and 3s, and also with Crawford knowing how to close around, knowing how to win rounds.